Hi everybody, Owlvine here. This week on Starting Out Solitary we're talking about Satanism and Paganism. So to start off this topic, I wanted to talk a little bit about Satanism, what it is, and a little bit about the similarities and differences between paganism. And then I want to look at the question of this week, which is, why do people outside of our practices sometimes mistake Satanism for paganism? Lots of isms there. Now I have my phone here for some notes, so excuse me if I look down there, but I just want to make sure I kind of, cover my bits. So to start off with Satanism, there are two kind of main groups of Satanism. One of them is atheistic Satanism, and the most popular branch of this is the Church of Satan, which is based in America and was founded by Anton LaVey in 1966. And atheistic Satanism it's more of a philosophy, it's a way of living. And I would say that it's probably the most well-known kind of version of Satanism in modern times now. And the other side of Satanism is the theistic side. So there are several different ways of looking at deity in the spiritual side of Satanism. So there's monotheism, which is where people believe that, there is one God, one deity, and that is Satan. And there's polytheism as well. So those people believe that there are several different deities, a group of deities with Satan being center of those. And there is also pantheism in Satanism. So that's where people believe that Satan is more of a force of nature. So there are those different kinds of beliefs within Satanism. Satanism is a decentralized religion as well, so there isn't kind of one doctrine that they go off or anything like that, the same as paganism. So there's a lot of overlap, there's a lot of differences in opinion, and lots of different ways to practice Satanism as well. Some people within Satanism, I forgot to mention, also practice dualism. So they believe in Satan and Lucifer, so in sort of light and dark aspects of Satan. Now, some people within Satanism believe that it's actually a pre-Christian religion. This is something I'm not sure about. I haven't really been able to find any kind of facts to kind of back this up or not, or to, say that it's not true. But I will link the video down below, one of the videos that I found that was really helpful in talking about Satanism, and she actually spoke about this topic as well. And she's a Satanist herself, this woman who made the video. So a really good video, and it's only about 8 minutes long, I think. So I'll link that down below if you want to check that out too, and she knows a lot more than I do. Now, an important aspect of Satanism is self-development and the idea of being your own god, of being responsible for yourself. So this is a very big, I would say, part in Satanism, whether people are atheistic or theistic. Claiming your own power and being responsible for yourself and growing and learning constantly and not just going along with the crowd is kind of what Satanism is all about. In atheistic Satanism, that's a crow for me. Satan is a figure of like anarchy and going against the flow, really claiming yourself. That's kind of the central ideas of Satanism. Something else that is very similar to paganism is that there is the practice of magic and ritual within Satanism as well. Not all Satanists perform magic or do ritual, same as with pagans, but many of them do. And even atheistic Satanists tend to do quite a bit of ritual. You can see actually on the Church of Satan YouTube page, they have several rituals that they've videotaped, so you can actually watch some of those as well, and they're quite interesting too. And they also work with spirits, which would be a similar thing to paganism. So They work with demons and different forces like that. And they don't necessarily see them as dark forces either. And this is where it kind of branches off and breaks up, and there's a lot of different thoughts about this and opinions and all that kind of thing. So those are kind of some of the similarities between paganism and Satanism. Now, the actual question for this week, why do people outside of these two religions or philosophies, why do they lump them in together? I have experience with this kind of thinking. You know, I was a Christian before now and grew up in a very strict Christian home. I think the main point is, and someone else touched on this already in a different video, that within Christianity, at least within a very strict kind of, you know, closed thinking Christian thought, there is God and there is everything outside of God. And everything outside of God is of the devil. So that's pretty straightforward. Therefore, they're the same thing. There's obviously the pentagram or the pentacle. And the Satanists use an inverted, so pointing downwards. So it is a little bit different, but at the same time it's still a 5-pointed star. So coming from the outside, you can see it's not a massive difference. Also, the whole witch thing. There are witches within both Satanism and paganism, and of course all other religions. I think that within these two, though, witches are particularly strongly tied. And obviously, particularly during the burning times, there was a lot of marrying up of witches and the devil. And so in people's minds, you know, people who don't obviously know the details and the ins and outs of these two ways, you know, instantly kind of put them together. And I remember I did as well. You know, I sort of put the two together before I knew any better. So those are kind of the main things. You know, from the outside, I don't think we look particularly different. You know, some would argue that Satanism is a lot darker. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think there are pagans who definitely kind of go with those darker forces. And I know pagans who work with Satan as well. So there isn't necessarily a massive difference, I don't think. Overall, it could be said that pagans focus more on the earth. However, not all pagans do, and some Satanists do. So I think the lines are very blurry. I just think that they're, you know, in Satanism, the way that it really differs from paganism is that there is a focus on Satan himself as a deity or as a symbol. So those are my thoughts on the topic. I hope this was interesting, and do check out the video below. I found that quite interesting as well, and if you're interested in Satanism, go and research it. Look up the Church of Satan, fascinating stuff, and enjoy your research. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week on Starting Out Solitary. Much love.